I've been in conversations with business leaders where they've pulled out those balance sheets and said, do you know what, we're not going to be able to grow cotton in Bangladesh because it's going to be underwater in 30 years' time. You would hope in that situation that they would then say, okay, well, how do we change our supply chains to become more sustainable? How do we double down on climate investment? From my experience, their response is, cool, how do we move to a different country that's not going to be most affected by climate change? And so if you don't have morality in those conversations, if you don't put a price on a human life, which is how the majority of corporations work today, then they are going to continue clinging to the system as long as possible. You know, we saw that in response to the Paris Agreement in 2015. Companies didn't say, okay, great, this is finally our imperative to double down on renewable investment. They said, okay, cool, we're actually going to be squeezed by regulators in 10 years' time. Let's double down on fossil fuel infrastructure and build more coal-powered plants, more oil and gas infrastructure than ever before. The thing that initially inspired me when I engaged with companies was how much I had in common with the people in these rooms. You know, it's a lot easier to kind of say, well, we're fundamentally different and we care about really different things. The majority of people within organizations are not the CEO of Exxon or not the CEO of Kellogg's. People understand it, right? And they have a sense of moral injustice and an understanding that this is right and this is wrong. And the number of business leaders I've spoken to who have said, you know, my kids have come home to me at the end of the day and asked, Mom, Dad, what are you doing about the climate crisis? Mm-hmm. And for them, it's turning into, okay, what is my legacy going to be? You know, I've worked my whole life, my whole career to provide for my family. And now I've realized that I'm handing over a planet on fire to my children.
So you've met a lot of decent people inside the companies.
Obviously, right? You know, right. Companies are made up of collectives of individuals, right? Sure. And at the end of the day, my belief is that people are fundamentally good. However, we are within these systems that make it inherently difficult to do the right or responsible thing. And, you know, even again, to bring it back to Exxon, you know, they're currently holding lawsuits against their activist shareholders. So it's not like there aren't people within organizations who are trying to create change. But when you have every part of the legal structure of an organization, take an LLC, which is designed to privilege shareholders and designed to protect profit at any cost. And when you have those leaders cracking down on people who are trying to do the right, just, responsible thing, then you're never going to have legitimate change. And so my desire and plea to people is to kind of defect from these systems that are inherently bad and corrupted and that do not create the space or license for us to live in the most sustainable, fair and equitable way possible. And to have people really challenge them